From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. Coming up on today's show, it's your show, Renegade Express, taking all the questions from our valued subscribers over on the warchant.com Tribal Council. Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, cptallybar.com. That's the website. You can visit it, pull out the phone, hit the QR code on your screen. Takes you right to the website where you can check out their menu online. Friday nights, always fun. Sometimes live music, sometimes happy hours. Not a happy hour this week because the Noles are on the road, but always a good time at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, especially on the weekends when there's football to watch. Go hang out with some Noles on Saturday night. Watch Florida State take down NC State in Carter Finley Stadium. Warchant.com, still the ultimate Seminole sports source. Still pretty good value, Corey. Pretty good value. 10 American dollars for an entire year of access. That would have cost 16-year-old Aslan about an hour and a half of work at the Pelican Car Wash on East Lake Road to be able to have a whole year. Just an hour and a half of my time would have been able to give me a whole year of Warchant.com. Crazy.
Like that would have been 2 hours for 16-year-old Corey as a busboy at Bennigan's.
Okay.
But the perks as the busboy at Bennigan's were better than the pay. A lot of you're a 16-year-old kid, junior in high school. You're working with a lot of college-aged waitresses. Yeah, it was a good time. Well, I say that as if anything romantic happened with any of them, and it didn't because I was a nerdy 16-year-old. But still, it was fun to be around cool people when you're 16. I would recommend that for any of you guys. 16, go be a busboy at a restaurant like that. A Corner Pocket, perhaps. Okay. By the way, I was going to say Corner Pocket. Yeah, you're going to want to be there Saturday night for the big game because if they win, you might become a part of a viral video. But if it's a close game, but also the best thing about Corner Pocket, Aslan, and I sing the praises all the time. And I think I've said this before, but you walk in there on a Sunday afternoon for NFL football, and you don't have to ask 7 different people, hey, can you switch it to the Dolphins game? Or, hey, can you switch it to the Ravens or the Lions or the 49ers game? Every single game is on a TV, and they make sure of it. They make sure that on that Vegas wall, there's 8 TVs. They're all a different game. And then to the left is a different game, and to the right is a different game. So you'll have a spot to go watch your game. And they know how to work the remotes if you ask them.
Do they have signs on the monitors telling you which game's going to be on which TV?
No, that's a crapshoot. It's awesome. So what happened was, but I think if you asked, they could change it. They would make the change for you. But when Stephanie and I went to watch the Browns-Falcons game, because weirdly that wasn't on in Tallahassee. I thought that was going to be the primetime national game. But Browns and Falcons were playing. We sat at a table, and it just happened to be the game right in front of us. Perfect. So she got to wear that butt whooping. She saw a team rise up and get to 2-2 with Marcus Mariota at quarterback.
All right, let's get to it then. Warchant.com's Tribal Council. These questions from our valued subscribers over on the Tribal Council. We start off with our guy, Ralph in Hawaii, Spartan 071. Aloha, guys. How's it? Wins and losses, Corey, has never been his indicator for how good a team is. He likes to see productivity. So he asked us some pretty specific questions here about, like, special teams. What would be a mark to show you reassurance that we're okay for where we're at in a rebuild? Like kick return yards and touchdowns, offensive passing yardage, rushing yardage and touchdowns, sacks, interceptions, a lot of kind of metrics. To you, I would spin it with, I don't know if you have certain numbers. I don't know how many kick return yards equals like a good kick return unit, If they get one more touchdown, I'd probably say we're at a good spot in the rebuild. Offensively, man, I don't know if they maintain what they've done here statistically, Corey. I mean, they're 4-1. Pretty good. We'd all have taken 4-1 2 months ago, right, Corey?
Yes.
We'd all have taken 4-1. I mean, total offense right now, they're 17th in the nation, averaging over 480 yards per game. And total defense, they're 32nd, and they're allowing under 330 yards per game. So if you've got like a 150-yard disparity between what you're getting and what you're allowing, I feel like that's a good sign of where you're at in this rebuild.
Yeah, that almost seems a little just random. Not random. I mean, those are very good measures. But I would, and I don't use this for everything. I think sometimes this sport, football in particular, becomes too analytical and too based on like FMRAL ratings or whoever that guy is that I've talked about a few times, because it's just 12 games. Like, I get it in baseball because you're trying to project a 160 game schedule. 12 games, I don't know that I care that much about efficiency rating and what a team should be as opposed to what it is. But when you're in the process of a rebuild, I think that's not a bad place to start. I don't know where they rank in the FMRAL ratings on offense and defense and adjusted, because those are all efficiency numbers and not necessarily. And they also take out games against like Duquesne. They're just against Division I competition. But I would harbor a guess that Florida State is well above.
Hazard a guess.
Why do I always say harbor?
I don't know, man. Let's figure it out, though. It's been years, Corey.
It's crazy. I mean, I guess you can technically harbor a guess, like you harbor a fugitive.
But you're not letting it out then at that moment, I would think, if you're harboring a thought.
Yeah, that's right. So I didn't even want to finish that sentence. I'm going to harbor this guess, and I don't want to say anymore. I'm going to hazard a guess and say that Florida State is better in all those areas. And I think when you're trying to project, whether this team ends up with 8 wins, 7 wins, God forbid 5 wins again, that would be you'd fall off a cliff there. So I don't want to say that. But I want to see at the end of the year where those metrics are compared to where they were the year before and the year before. Because, I mean, I'm telling you, you can't just look at the record of that 2020 team and think, oh, man, that 2021 team was only a couple wins better than that 2020 team. No. I know that's what the record says, but again, that was such a bizarre year. That team was awful. That team was one of the worst in Florida State history. The next year, they're a 5-win team and almost a bowl team. Probably should have been a bowl team if they don't screw up the second game of the season. And then this year, they're on their way to being a bowl team and maybe an 8-win team. Like, that tells you where you're going. I mean, that's good enough. That's good enough progress just from that metric. But I think when you look at that offensive efficiency, the defensive efficiency, the special teams have gotten much better this year. I know the kicker's the kicker, but everything else has been elite, like legitimately elite. They don't give up returns. Their punter almost always gets it inside the 10 or 15 yard line. They have a kick return for a touchdown. They've had another long kick return. They've had a long punt return. The guy catches everything. They've caught 2 balls on muffed punts. They blocked kicks, meaningful kicks. Like, they are an elite special teams unit right now, except for the kicker. So, yeah, man, I think all those things matter almost as much as yards per game, the discrepancy, if that makes sense. I talked a lot. I don't know if you were looking up ratings, but I tried to talk enough to see if you would.
I don't know who FMRAL is, brother.
All right. Well, I'll do it while you answer the next question.
This is the Johnny Wilson portion of the show. We got 3 questions involving Johnny. Apparently, Seminole Carol said that she ended up conversing with Richard Wilson, Johnny's grandfather, during the live podcast on Wednesday. It was really cool to hear him talk about his grandson. She's got a question about Johnny here. How many end zone catches does he complete in the NC State game, and how many extra 2-point catches in the end zone does he make? I'll give him 1 of each. Actually, I don't know. I'll give him 1 touchdown for sure. I don't know about 2-point conversion. Who knows? Maybe the kicker will work out. On a sidebar note, she says that Coach Norvell can be known as the kicker whisperer if he just whispers right before to the kicker to go out in the field, just kick it high. Kick it through those tall uprights. Mm-hmm. So that's true. Bradley Moss, Corey, I hear that you hate the fade, but when we have a 6-7 wideout, we need to utilize him in the red zone. Do you remember how Stanford would use their tight ends near the goal line? I feel like he's almost kind of going against himself here, like kind of criticizing you, but then agreeing with you. Stanford's tight ends, it would be more of a box-out, post-up route versus traditional fade. The quarterback would just lob it up there. Seems like such a good play, especially when we have a significant size advantage. We need to stop being cute on the goal line, which I think Corey would agree with you there, yeah.
Yeah. The fade isn't what you just described. The fade is let me throw it to the back pylon. You race by the guy. I have to put it in a pretty good spot, and you have to get your feet down and make a miraculous catch sometimes. That's why people hate the fade. The lobbing it up to the kid 3 yards into the end zone as he boxes out his 5'10" cornerback and just jumps up and catches it like it's a post-entry pass in basketball, that's just taking candy from a little child. That's easy. The fade is like, again, and we'll go on because I've said it before. How easy was the Johnny Wilson touchdown catch on Saturday against Wake? Compare that to the one he had against Louisville in the corner of the end zone. Like, that was an all-time great catch. The one against Wake Forest was just Johnny Wilson being tall and good. Like, just give him chances to do that. Don't try to be perfect with the darn fade. You don't have to put it in a perfect spot. Lob it up and let the kid box out his defender and go catch it. And I agree 100%. I would throw it on every 2-point conversion. I would throw it every time you're inside the 10-yard line.
All right, how many touchdowns and 2-point conversions do you think he has?
In this game or the rest of the year?
This game.
Total 3.
Okay, good. Mobile Nole, on the show last night, you guys were talking about big plays will be needed. I will say over under 1.5 passes of 35 yards to Johnny Wilson. And he's got another over under.
Like in the air to Johnny Wilson is what he's saying? Yeah, I would say I'm going to say over, man. They did it what, 3 times, 4 times in that Wake game? The first play of the game that was deflected, then I think a pass interference call that probably wasn't a pass interference call, and then late in the fourth quarter they threw another one down the sideline that wasn't caught and wasn't called for interference.
Yeah, I don't know, man. NC State's a little bit aggressive, so maybe I'll burn him. I think I'll go 2. I guess I'll take the over on that. And then over under 300 passing yards for Jordan and Travis. Probably take the under.
I will too. Yeah.
So, okay.
I also don't know if it's a good thing if he goes over 300 yards. That to me means, okay, you got behind kind of big early and you got a little desperate and you had to throw the ball a lot. And they were backing up to give you, like Wake did on that last drive until you got inside the 20 or so. Like, I want more balance, man. This team's got to run the ball. And I would rather Jordan have 75 yards rushing than 300 yards passing because I think that bodes better for the offense.
Our guy Eric, Nole 43, wake up, Nole gents. Corey Aslan 4-1 heading into Raleigh. I don't think we've won up there since DeAndre Francois was quarterback. Correct.
Yep.
He sees this game coming down to the wire. Time's about to expire. Fitzgerald hits a game-winning field goal. Corey pours champagne on Fitzgerald's head. Noles win 31-28. Hit the thumbs up, like button. Subscribe to Warchant on YouTube and Warchant on 3. Eric from Tallahassee, go Noles. I'll be at
That's
CP
not a bad
with my
idea.
friend Heather watching the Noles on Saturday.
Nice.
All right, Eric.
That's not a bad idea to dump champagne on Fitzmagic if he makes that kick. I mean,
He'll break the
literally, I know-
rock. Maybe they can pour it on. You could give Coach Norvell a bottle of champagne when they're running back into the locker room, and then when Fitzgerald's breaking the rock, they can maybe douse him with the champagne.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good point. Nobody would frown upon that, right?
No.
Yeah, people are cool with that. He's probably close to 21 if he's not 21 already. But yeah, man, you would feel so good for that kid to have something good happen to him, and that would be, I don't know, man. That would be awesome if he could make a big kick in this game. If he's even out there, who knows? But just you'd feel, just the dad in me would feel so good for him and his family, quite frankly, if he could make a big kick in this game.
Samurai Nole, wake up, gents. Greetings from the land of the rising sun. Arizona. Just waiting to bask in the warmth of the realization that hit me midway through the Louisville game when I was no longer wincing when I saw our quarterback throwing the ball, praying that it would get caught. We still have a few drops, but what teams don't? Now, if we can just work on this pesky feeling I get when Fitzgerald steps on the field. Soon, Samurai Nole, soon. Thank you for all that you do, everyone. Since On3 has decided to slow mesh the price of the 1-year subscription to Warchant, don't let Jared verse you out of $89.99. Sign up and score the greatest Seminole content on the internet. Go Noles.
This has been an ultimate slow mesh.
Indeed, right?
That's a good call.
XDQ004, wake up. I'm pleased that most fans understand we did not play our best game, had key players out, yet still probably should have won that game. The young men look refocused. I believe they're in a prime position to get their third sod game of the season. Who would have thunk it when they had won only 2 road games, period, over the last 2 complete seasons? If you can't root for this team, go find another. I love them. Question. Who looks to be primed for a breakout against NC State this week? Offensive, defensive player, please. Support the guys, the sponsors, Rising Spear, go Noles.
I don't know that we've gotten this question right yet. Maybe we said Pittman last week. I don't remember because he had a breakout game.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like we've gotten this right yet.
I feel like I said Johnny Wilson maybe going to Louisville or verse. I think I said, I'm like, no matter, until they actually have a huge moment, my answer is always going to be Johnny and Jared verse. So the fact that they both have done it, I hedge myself against it. Malik McClain had some good moments this weekend, and we're running out of guys.
How much is he going to be on the field?
I don't know, but we're running out of guys to break out. I mean, is Dimitri Emanuel going to have a breakout? He's just going to start road grading and pancaking people?
What about Patrick Payton?
Toafili? I don't know. Was that first sack not a breakout?
I don't know, man. Maybe he's going to have like a 3.5 sack ACC Performer of the Week type breakout game. Yeah. It'd be nice if, like Jamie Robinson, I guess, was ACC Defensive Back of the Week. He did have 13 tackles.
He did.
He's good. He's been good. Maybe he's going to have a couple of game-changing type plays, though. Okay. I'm going to say him. I'm going to keep picking him until he does it. And I know you can say, well, he just was ACC Back of the Week. Well, that's because all the tackles he made, because he had to, because they were 9 yards downfield, because they couldn't stop the run up the middle. I'm going to say he's going to make a couple of game-changing type plays. So he's my pick to click.
All right. I'll take Akeem then. Which you should
we're just going with the safeties.
Keem's your guy. Maybe we need some interceptions back there, man. Break on the ball.
Yeah.
Figure it out. And then offensively, I'll say Malik. I don't know who do you got offensively. Maybe Toafili finally. His turn.
All right, sure.
Well, you don't have to. I'm just kidding.
I don't have a pick. I really don't have a pick.
Robert Scott.
How about Pokey?
Okay.
There you go. I'm going to say Pokey. Right. He's kind of been quiet the last couple of games. I'm going to say Pokey.
Speaking of bounce backs, NYC Nole, wake up, gents. It's bounce back week. Your friend here didn't take last week's loss all that well. As I was positive we were going to win, I was crushed because, as most have done, I fell in love with this team. Then, having to go to a cousin's wedding as the final seconds ticked off the game clock, not a great scenario. I wouldn't even dance with my wife. I was so disappointed, which put me in her doghouse on Sunday.
And I'll be honest with you, man, and I'm a big sports fan too. I'm the idiot that came to watch the final 3 outs of a baseball game.
Tighten up,
you
guys.
You should be in a doghouse for that, though.
Well, I mean, come on, guys. It's a loss in September.
Yeah.
We're all right.
Well, October. It was early October. Yeah. Get it right, Aslan. It was October 1st. Right. But I love it. I love that, like, the fact that you can still get so emotionally invested, and this isn't me making fun. It's awesome. That really does show how much this team has grown on people and how much they do. I mean, that's a good sign that people believe in it enough to get that upset. Because for the last 4 years, you've gone into every Saturday thinking, all right, well, here goes nothing, or I guess we got a decent chance here. But to now be like upset again after a loss, and not upset like you want to fire people, and I hope you're not firing off angry screeds, emails to coaches and players, but just that it affects you like that, it's a good sign. But at least go dance with your wife for what's that Eric Clapton song?
Or was it?
You look wonderful.
You look wonderful tonight. That's the name of the song.
Yeah. Yeah. Who's not going to get up and dance with a lady for that one? Come on, gang.
And
so you're just sitting there at the table, just like shaking your head, like effing Fuller,
Sam Hartman,
yeah.
Sam freaking Hartman. I'm almost fascinated by this loss because just judging by the amount of traffic on everything, like a lot of people that haven't checked out, but they haven't come back nearly in as many droves. And I feel like we always ask, like, when's Florida State going to be back? Like, even when they lost to North Carolina in 16 on that kick, you would still always, and again, maybe this is me just being so far removed from being a fan, you'd keep telling yourself, all right, we just totally used our get out of jail free card way too early, but it's all right. We can still win out from here. But I feel like that's not the overriding sentiment right now. It's not like, all right, whatever. We had our one loss. We're fine. We still control our own destiny. We got to keep winning. Maybe hope for a couple things to go our way. I feel like there's a lot of like, all right, maybe they're not as far along as I would hoped, and we're probably going to have to deal with a couple more of these.
But I think hope is the right word, right? Not thought. I don't think many of us, you listening or the two of us talking, thought that this team was like an 11-win team, an ACC championship team. We hoped that maybe some stars could align and they would have a magical year. But we didn't think this roster was incredible. We didn't think that this team was a top 5 caliber team. We thought they had played well, and they'd won some games, which was awesome. And you hoped that it would carry on and you could beat Wake. And I think the hope there was, man, we know what's coming the next 2 weeks. So out of these 3 games, this is the most winnable. We need to go ahead and take care of business here because the next 2 are going to be tough. And now, quite frankly, as a Florida State fan, you were so excited about a 4-0 start. Well, now you can see a 3-game losing streak slapping you right in the face. I'm not predicting it to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But, I mean, you're an underdog this week, and then you got Clemson the next week. So odds are, I mean, there's a pretty good chance you're going to be on a 3-game losing streak. And I think that just that emphasized it. You know what I mean? The fact it compounded it. Not only did you lose to Wake, but these 2 teams are coming up. Like if Georgia Tech was this week, followed by Louisiana, I think people would be a little more upbeat. Like, okay, we still see 6-1 on the horizon. And then who knows? But, you're staring at perhaps 4-3.
All right, so here's my question, NYC Noles says. Why do
we haven't
have...
even gotten to the question. I'm sorry, NYC.
No, it's fine. It's my fault whenever I deviate. That gives you like carte blanche to also rabble-rouse. Yeah. Why do we have to surrender 21 points in the first half every time we play any type of defense or decent offense? A better first half could lead to a better outcome. You're not wrong, NYC Noel. Trying to think who else. Louisville had a decent offense. Did they score 21 in the first half?
Yeah, they put up 21 or 24 points, yeah.
Really? This past year? That's right. We had to come back in that one.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't know, man. I like Adam Fuller a lot. I defend him a lot. But, I don't really defend a lot of people. And it kind of made me look in the mirror, and I'm like, hey, man, maybe there's something going on here, Aslan. The defense does some stuff that makes you scratch your head. But in this day and age, man, it's hard to go out there and stifle everybody. Now, we got stifled for the first half, so why can't we do that to the teams we play? I don't know, man. I mean, they practice hard. They're not trying to slow play any of this sort of stuff. I don't know why the defense struggles early on in these games and finds ways to turn it on the second half.
It's a fair criticism, though, especially, look, Wake, again, we can say it all we want. They do score on everyone. But if you had the ability to stop them late in the game, you made it very hard for them. Why was it seemingly so? I guess I say seemingly so easy. It really wasn't. They made an incredible catch on a 3rd and 10 in the end zone. Renardo Green's right there. Yeah. That was not, last year when you played Wake Forest, they scored, I think, 28 in the first half, had over 300 yards of offense, and it seemed like every play was a wide open pass down the middle of the field, or that A.T. Perry kid was just running free. They didn't have that this game. Nobody was running free. They converted a lot of 3rd and 3s because you couldn't stop the run. But what do you want them to do to stop the run? And if you push everybody up towards the line, then maybe you are giving up 70-yard touchdown passes. As it was, I think the idea was we're going to bend and hopefully not break, get them to a 3rd and long eventually, and then we have to go make a play. Well, Renardo Green didn't go make a play. Greedy Vance didn't go make a play. But they're there to be made. And I don't absolve, again, I hate when people say, I hate it. My number one complaint with columnists and podcasters and sports talk show hosts is when they say, well, you're there, you got to execute. You got to make the play. As if coaching has nothing to do with anything. Like, it's on the players to make the plays. Okay, well, then what are we paying the coach for? Like, the coach
them
gets
in that
credit.
Position to let them know, like, this is what they're going to be running. This is where you need to be. These are your
Sure,
keys.
but at the end of the day, it falls on coach's shoulders. That's just the reality of the job. And if Greedy Vance can't make that play, why is Greedy Vance in the game? It all comes back to coaching, and that's not a shot. I'm not trying to take a shot at Greedy Vance, but a coach always has his tentacles in things. It's not just, well, I did all I could. My players just didn't make the play. That said, in those particular instances, what could Adam Fuller do? That was a bad example because then I just did exactly what I said.
I don't know, man.
I
think it's the dad in you coming out because in the NFL, it's Jimmy Garoppolo's going crazy and not playing well. It's not Kyle Shanahan screwing things up here. And I feel like in college, we're still in this mindset of like we're trying to protect the kids, or maybe it's for some reason we feel more of an affinity for the players and the coaches, so we're protecting them rather than the coaches.
Well, I also think it's the Jimmy Garoppolo gets paid more than Kyle Shanahan. That to me is it weighs weighs heavily on the dynamics. Like Adam Fuller gets paid more than Greedy Vance or Renardo Green, so it seems kind of crazy to just I'm going to sit here and criticize Malcolm Ray, but not Odell Haggins. Odell Haggins made $650,000 a year. Malcolm Ray makes $40 in NIL money. I don't know what Malcolm Ray makes. So that's why I think there's a difference between pro football and college football when it comes to criticism. But also I think it's kind of warranted. Like this particular criticism, the first half of games, and it happened last year, even when the defense started playing better. You remember that first half of that Clemson game? Yeah. I know they only scored a couple touchdowns, but they had like 280 yards of offense. For that offense that averaged like 330 a game, they went up and down the field against your defense. That wasn't a good look, and you had players there. You weren't missing a ton, and so I think that is a really good. That's something to watch this week, man. When they go on the road, they do seem to get smacked in the face a little bit by offenses early. They don't go out and kind of just dominate, and not that they're a dominant defense, but they kind of just take a bunch of punches to start a game. Typically for me on the road is when they do it, but this past week was at home, but that was against a great offense. NC State's not a great offense. So I want to see what they do against a not great offense on the road. Are they going to fill them with confidence because NC State goes up and down the field the first 2 times they get the ball? Or are they going to get a couple quick 3 and outs and maybe NC State starts to panic and self-doubt?
Yeah, last thing on this. I just don't recall bad play calls by Adam Flick. I don't recall him, playing off on 3rd and 1 and allowing a completion. Like, it's easier to criticize, I think, offensively play calling when you're throwing fades on 4th and 3 to freshmen against FCS. Old Dad's a Nole, wake up. Hey, can you guys ask Coach a question about philosophy on why and how we run the read option? Francois, Blackman, Rodemaker, Travis, doesn't matter who. We all run it the same way. Everyone in the stadium knows where the ball's going, to the running back. No one reads the defense, which is what the play's designed for, it seems like. Look how many quarterbacks with far less abilities than Travis run that play better. May as well have 2 backs in the backfield. Have a great day, Old Dad. Ooh, I like that. Where's the falsity in that? I don't see any. It's bizarre. It really is. I watch a lot of college football, actually. I don't know how many quarterbacks are as gifted as Jordan Travis, but I feel like I see it kept a little bit more watching across the country. Maybe it's one of those grass is greener things that I don't have a firm grasp on, Corey. How much of this frustrates you, him just handing it off every time, seemingly?
It does, because unlike when Sean McGuire is running that play or, name another guy that couldn't run as well, James Blackman, Jordan Travis is a real threat when he pulls the ball out and keeps it. And I just think it needs to be done, I don't know, man, once or twice a quarter just to keep them honest. Because, again, the reason they've been able to run, I think they had a stretch last year during that season where they ran for over 200 yards in 5 of 6 games, which they hadn't done since like the 90s. And that's because the quarterback is a threat. Now, the running backs are good. They were good. Corbin and Ward are good. This crew is good. But the main reason is Jordan Travis. Like, you have to account for him, and that opens up holes for the running backs. This year, not so much. And they're not going to tell us if he can't run. It looks like, to me, not this past game, but the game before against Boston College, he looked mobile enough. Like, he doesn't maybe look like the guy that busted the 60-yarder against Carolina last year, but he's good enough to get you 12 and 15 and then slide. I think he still has that in him, and I think that has to be a part of the game plan, just to see how they're going to defend it, to make them defend it, and then to put that little doubt in their head that, 13 might keep it. And if he keeps it, it's going to be it could be a 25-yard run if I don't believe in it. And that to me is the main thing. But look, it works as like a stretch, right, Aslan? It's like a stretch run. It's like a stretch blocking scheme. It's what they ran all the time with Chris Thompson. Chris Thompson was great at running it because he would see one little hole and dart through it. And who was the quarterback then in 12? EJ never kept the ball on that. I don't even know if it's a really read option there. I think it's just you play it off as an option, but the whole time you're handing the ball to the running back. So yeah, it's something to ask, especially if Travis again doesn't keep it this game at all, because yes, you can definitely see that defenses are keying in on not the quarterback, and it would be nice if the quarterback became a weapon again with his legs a little bit.
Jocko _Nole _Truitt. My guys, sorry this is a little lengthy, but as Corey would say, don't be a baby. Jocko is pronounced Jaco, as in Jackson County. He's from Mariana. Hilarious that you pronounced Truitt correctly instead of Jocko or Jaco. Truitt's my last name. People usually find the silliest pronunciations. I expect Norvell, the schemer, to show up this weekend with our offensive line against NC State's defensive line to try to get something going. Third, lastly, what was more impressive, Greg Jones's arms or Dan Kendra's legs? Both were very intimidating to see in person. Same age as you, Aslan, so seeing Dan Kendra is what convinced me FSU had a different level of athlete. Go Noles. I've never seen Dan Kendra's legs.
They were incredible. Always one of the great what-ifs, old Dan Kendra. Yeah. What he could have been. He only got one start as a quarterback at Florida State. That was 96 when Busby got hurt, and Kendra was good. I think they played it's back when Wake Forest used to sell their home games to like Orlando. So it was in Orlando, and he played really well. He could run. He was the first one. He was like a shorter Tim Tebow, except faster. Obviously, clearly not the player that Tebow was, but big muscle-bound guy that could run you over and was a good, decent enough quarterback. And then he turned into a fullback his last year and helped him win a national championship. Little backstory here, Aslan. This is something I just remembered. My ex-wife, Shanna, called him up out of the blue. This is crazy to think about Shanna doing this as a 19-year-old. They had a class together, but it was one of those seminar classes. There's like 400 people in the class. And she noticed him, knew who he was because she was a football fan, and called him up out of the blue to ask to go get coffee or something.
Was she like, look him up in the phone book?
Yeah, because he was in the student directory.
Oh, all right. Look at her.
So
wow.
she just called him out of the blue and was like, hey, can I speak with Dan? He's like, this is he. He's like, hey, this is Shanna. I'm in your class. I just wanted to see if you wanted to. I think that's how it went. I guarantee you she didn't tell me the whole story, the real story.
Did they go out? What did he say?
I don't think so. I think he was
practice?
very polite. They talked for 15 or 20 minutes, but they did not go out. Or maybe they did, and she'll tell me the truth now that the statute of limitations is up 25 years later.
Oh, incredible. Chuck MacGyver Norris Jr. Love the show, guys. Since we can pretty much get everyone back on both sides of the ball, how much NIL money do we need to get them all to return? What would the expected record be if everyone came back for next year? Hold that thought. Also, Nole fan 624, Wake Up. The season's been wonderful for the most part. 4-1 start, knowing they could have beat Wake Up. They played a better game. Hard to complain. 2023, is there any insider info on the quarterback returning? Feels like Jordan Travis returns. If he did, we would be even better. He would too. Thanks for the great content. Go Noles. So we'll bundle that together. He would be one of the guys, obviously. Bringing everybody, running it all back. How much NIL money would we need? I mean, if Ryan Day needed, $15 million just to keep his roster happy? Was that the number he threw out there?
I think so.
And that's a playoff team? And you got to tell Jared Verse, don't go pro. Johnny, don't go pro. I mean, I honestly, Johnny and Jordan, I don't know. Jared, he would be the highest paid player on this team. He would need to get the most money because I think he has the most legitimate shot of going first round. If McShay is putting him in a mock in October, which I know you don't care about until March, Gordon,
yeah, but Jared Verse does.
Yeah, he's got a lot more NFL potential than Jordan at this point. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I think $4 million should be able to keep everybody here and happy.
I would think he's the only one that's a first-day pick, a possible first-day pick. Yeah. I love Johnny Wilson and Jordan Travis. I think they're good college football players. I don't think they're going to be first-day picks. So the other guys, you just got to, whatever the going rate is for a third-round pick a year. I mean, I guess you got to do that. I don't know. It's hard to even quantify what that would be. But the better question is,
how about this? What if I gave you a $4 million budget? How would you use that?
Just for returning players?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, Jordan gets $1 million. Probably 1.5.
What?
Johnny gets $1 million just to clear his head.
And then Verse gets $500,000.
Who?
Actually, so 1.5 to Jordan, 1 to Johnny, so 2.5. You have $1.5 million left.
I mean, who else are you even really worried
Jared
about?
Verse?
No, I'm assuming Verse is gone. I'm not.
Oh, okay.
If
well,
I'm
not.
assuming
they want to run it back, Corey.
$6 million. He wouldn't come back for $6 million. I mean, a first round pick is guaranteed of making $6 or $7 million. You can't compete with that. So he'll be gone if he's thinking of that. Lovett, maybe 500. So now we're at $3 million.
Do you feel gross yet?
Who?
Do you feel gross yet?
No. Hell no. Are you kidding? No. It's 2022, man. Are you kidding me? Absolutely not. And then after that, those are your three guys that could theoretically come back and would be huge helps. After that, everybody else that is thinking like they could test the waters, maybe be a 4th or 5th or 6th round pick, are like Tatum Bethune,
or
Micah
transfer
Pittman.
portal. Maybe they want to be free agents and go on the transfer portal. But you
I would divvy all them up about 100 to 150.
Okay.
So, but here's the Jamie. I think Jamie Robinson's only a junior too. Mm-hmm. That would be now. Never mind. He gets the other 500 with Fabian. But that's when you project where this program is going. The one hesitance, if that's a word, I don't think it fits here. The one hesitation I have about it, as excited as I am about Norvell and the trajectory is, man. Say they get to 8 wins this year. You feel great. Like, look, Florida State's on the rise. They're doing great. Oh, wait, they just lost their quarterback, their star defensive end, their best defensive tackle, their 6'7" receiver, their great slot receiver, there's all ACC safety. They're all gone. And who's behind those people that you feel great about?
Well, just go back to the portal. You replace
Well, no,
them how
exactly
you brought
right.
them in.
But when you talk about programs building, and you usually do it through, man, these sophomores are playing really good. Wait till this guy's a junior or a senior. He's going to be, or a freshman. Wait till he's a junior or senior. He's going to be awesome. Well, all your best players are guys that could leave for the most part. And that's where you are they going to be able to run it back in the portal again and get equally kind of impactful players? I would think so. But there aren't many. Johnny Wilsons don't grow on trees, man. And a quarterback coming in for a new system isn't going to be as good as Jordan Travis was this year, probably. Jared Verses don't grow on trees. So, I don't know. Just take advantage of this season and go win as many as you can. And maybe that'll make you much more appealing to recruits and portal guys. But that's, you know what I mean? Like, they're building. We like what they're doing. If everybody came back, yes, I think they're a top 15, top 10 team next year. But I wouldn't expect them all to come back. And then you're having to fill holes with unproven guys again.
Nullboy02. Hey, Aslan and Corey, wake up. Tough game coming up. I remember that last year. But I remember last year a worse FSU team that was riddled by the flu, only trailed by a touchdown late. Right on. So my question, why does the Wiz Palace always prove to be a house of horrors for FSU? In my lifetime, we've only won there 4 times, and I believe 3 were one-score games. I hate playing there, but hopefully this team goes nuts on the Wolfpack this weekend. Well, Corey talked about the architectural design of Carter Finley's tricky. Maybe we're their Super Bowl, you know? Maybe just we always get their best shot. They just find a way to rally around the wagons because there's no mystique to that place. Again, nobody talks about, man, Carter Finley Stadium, what a crazy place to play, man. Just their student section's nuts. It's just for some reason, maybe where it falls on the schedule, maybe it's been a confluence of us being hurt going into those games. But yeah, I mean, the 16 game was crazy. We should have lost that one too, but the guy dropped the interception. Thank you.
And that was not a good NC State team either.
No, not good at all.
And 14, you got that was the Jacoby Brissett game where you got down like by 3 scores in the first half. 2012, you lost after having a 16-0 lead. I think 2010 you lost on that crazy fumble at the 5 where you're going in to win the game. 2008 you won because Graham Gano had onions and made a big kick. Yeah, man. 2006 you lost on a Thursday night. A lot of
2004 you pulled out like a last minute win. Like, I remember
it was like 13-10.
Booker.
You had 150 yards of offense. Yeah. And 2002 was the Adrian McPherson under game. Oh. So it's been like that really for the last 13 trips. None of them are ever easy. You don't expect it to be easy. I don't know enough about their history in that stadium to know if other teams struggle like this. I mean, NC State for the last 30 years has been okay, right?
Yeah.
They're not an awful football program. They've been decent. Never great, but decent. And when you play decent teams on the road in this day and age, last 20, 25 years, especially when you don't have great talent, you're going to struggle. Like if they'd have played the 2013 game in Carter Finley, yeah, you would have blown them out. That talent was not going to be denied. It might not have been 35-0 in the first quarter like it was at Doak, but it was going to be a blowout. All the other times, the talent level hasn't been that wide. The disparity hasn't been that wide that you could go in there and play a C+ game and still win or win comfortably. And they just don't play well there. But I don't know what teams do. And I certainly expect a close game in this one. Well, let me say this. If anybody's going to get blown out, I would be stunned if it's NC State. I can't foresee that happening. Tough place to play. It's also their biggest game on their schedule every year or every time they host Florida State. It still means something. A lot of times it's a Thursday night game. It always seems to be played at night where they're rowdier and drunker. And so, yeah, that's what you're dealing with. But I don't know.
How much money would 20-year-old Corey Clark have to owe to throw a game at Florida State to where, like, and you don't even have the job? So you're going to probably lose your job, and you're going to make hundreds of thousands of people and everybody in your immediate orbit extremely angry. How much money would you have to be in the hole to throw?
Well, yeah, also because, if you've just won the quarterback position, your career's on the line. Yeah. Like you finally have won the quarterback position, and then you're going to go and have an awful game because you owe this amount. I don't know if there's an amount of money, but $400,000. Like, I don't know. It certainly wouldn't be anything with it almost wouldn't be anything with one comma. Yeah. Because I can't imagine if you want to be an NFL quarterback and you want to be a starting quarterback at Florida State, when Florida State was still Florida State coming off the Dynasty, big hotshot quarterback, I don't know that there's an amount of money that you could get paid to look that bad that could maybe irrevocably harm your career. It just wouldn't be worth it.
Yeah, but just keep charging me interest. I'm going to make it to the league, and I'll pay you back.
Yeah, I'll pay you
what I owe
back.
you
Yeah.
On top.
And all this is alleged, right?
Yes, obviously.
We don't know that he threw the game.
No,
it
it's
just
just-
looked like he did.
It's just a funny thing to talk about
Yeah.
in hindsight. Random_John, good morning, Azon, and to you as well, Corey. We lost. I have to change up my intro. After a rewatch, I noticed during the first half of the Wake Forest game, a lot of our offensive failures came from our offensive tackles looking less than capable. So, how does FSU
polite.
scheme around offensive bookends that cannot block effectively? How will Norvell manufacture yards against this vaunted defense? Can he call any forward-moving plays once he gets in the red zone?
How about the mesh?
That might have been a little
Just go to the
tongue-in-cheek,
mesh.
I think, there. Yeah. You know, I watched a little bit of the Texas Tech game, and I don't know what kind of offense they're running in Lubbock these days, but they had some shots. I mean, the first play of the game, they had a shot down the seam that should have been caught and maybe affects the entire trajectory of that game being played. So, and I don't think anybody on that Texas Tech receiving corps is as dynamic or talented as Micah and Johnny and Malik and Pokey and you know, hopefully I don't know where Darion is in this thing, but you know, even Kentron's been out there doing some good stuff. I don't think it's I don't know if vaunted defense, a little bit of sarcasm there too. It's a good defense. It's good.
Yeah.
But they'll be able to move the ball on them. I don't know how they're going to try to compensate for having tackles that might not be as effective. I think we're anticipating Robert Scott's back. That helps. But maybe it does come down to just Jordan being able to run a little bit, and then just that factor alone puts enough hesitation where it comes back to the Alex Atkins thing about we don't want to react, we want to dictate, because that split second of thinking just puts you that far behind. So turn the tables on them. Make them have to react and not dictate to the Florida State offense, and then you can start opening up some bigger plays.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can slow down a pass rush with a mobile quarterback. You can. That's the all-time. Or getting rid of the ball quick. I think there's going to be some of that in there. They have all kinds of screen passes. I think you're going to see some of that. I also think you have a get-out-of-jail-free card where you have a kid where you can just, if nothing else is open, or if you don't have time, if you've got man on the outside, you can just throw it up to a guy and see if he can go make a play. That's not a luxury you had last year. But yeah, your tackles are gonna, it's such a weird. It's a 3-3-5, so it's not so much like you're gonna have defensive ends rolling around you as much as you're gonna have stand-up guys that might blitz or might not.
Yeah,
and it's that to me, it wasn't so much just that they got physically whipped against Wake Forest, although there was some of that. There was just a couple guys that were too quick for them. They didn't know who to block some of the time, or they were hesitant, like Atkins said. So hopefully they'll just be, and this goes back to coaching, man. And we all think Atkins is a great coach, me most included, but hopefully they'll be coached better this week. They'll know who to block. Atkins made it very apparent that he wanted them to quit reacting and go get people. Like, even if you're getting the wrong person, go punish the person you're getting. Quit thinking so much and go get. Well, you stop thinking by being so confident in what you're doing. And that comes down to, practice, repeating, repetition, good habits, all that stuff that you hope happens here. And also you might have Robert Scott back, which would help a lot. Darius Washington's not a good left tackle. And here's the thing, it's a bummer, man. Like, Turlington wasn't supposed to be their right tackle either.
Yeah.
Like, they've lost both starting tackles, which is a pretty important part of an offensive line. Darius Washington's a nice plug-and-play guy that can go all over the line. He's useful, very useful. But he's not as good at left tackle as Robert Scott is. And Turlington, quite clearly, isn't as good a right tackle as Bless Harris is. So that's the hand they've been dealt with, a rash of injuries on the offensive line. Because why wouldn't they have a good season where they could just stay healthy up front? They finally get a decent offensive line, and half of them go down with injury. Come on, man. Who did we anger? Who did the Tallahassee football community anger that they can't get an offensive line? When they finally get one that's competent, it can't stay healthy.
I think NYC Nole has inspired me to refine or rediscover my fandom, and I think the only way I can do that is by putting a large sum of money on this game so that I'm totally invested in every single play. And I'm going to have to do that by using MyBookie. I'll go to mybookie.ag. I would use the promo code WARCHANT to get an instant double deposit bonus, but I'm already a member there. I've been a member for a while. I like it. You would like it too. But if you're not signed up, go to mybookie.ag, use the promo code WARCHANT. Your first deposit will be doubled dollar for dollar instantly up to $1,000. It's still a 3-point line, Corey. Over-under now is 50.5, which, what's the deal with that one, everybody? But if I go ahead and just get crazy, I'm going to put $1,000 down. I'll win $1,350, and I can maybe do another house project if I win that amount of money. So maybe that's what I need to do. So I'm just absolutely a nervous wreck, and I feel what it's to feel like to be NYC Noel and all the people listening to this show and hang on every single play. I don't recommend you folks do that, but maybe you can find something that makes the game a little bit more interesting for you. Go to mybookie.ag. You can bet on anything, anytime, anywhere. Again, use that promo code WARCHANT. Your deposit, first one, will be instantly matched dollar for dollar. Moving along, Corey, Island Chief says, wake up. Glad to get up early to hear the musings and riffs of Aslan and Corey. They never fail to drop knowledge. I don't know if that's accurate.
Amen.
But appreciate it, though, man.
Amen. It's 100% accurate.
North Carolina State's only ever won two in they've never, sorry, I'll read it verbatim. NC State has only ever won 2 in a row against us in this rivalry. So they only ever.
I think what he's saying is they've never won 3 in a row.
Okay, and they're on a 2. Well, they're
on a
they're
2-game win streak.
Oh yeah, because shout out Willie Taggart. He beat them in 19.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, they also provided the opponent for the first overtime game at Doak, which you remember, Corey, right?
I do, yeah. Crifanzo, well, I was going to say R.I.P. He's still alive, but his leg was a really gruesome injury.
Yeah. We won, but we lost Crifanzo on the next to last play, which that's wild, right? Like they have to shut everything down the stadium and then they come right back. I'm pulling the upset Saturday. In pulling the upset, will the headline be stifling defense or quick strike offense? Or our number 1 rated special teams, Corey?
If they pull the upset, I think it's going to be who am I? It's always the offense, right?
Yeah.
Unless like even when Kevin Noles makes a game-clinching interception on it right after the defense got a 4th down stop that should have won the game, it was still about Rodemaker and Johnny Wilson.
Yeah. So
we're gonna roll with the offense, I think.
I don't see this team being up 21-16 and just clinging to life for the last 8 minutes of the game. Like they're going to have to make plays in the fourth quarter to hold on and win it, so it'll always end up coming down to them. So, Pananol 507, wake up, love your show, listen every morning down here in the Republic of Panama, the 507.
Oh, all right, nice.
Do they have an area? I thought like international area codes are different, but maybe that's theirs. Shout out Panama. Question: Corey Durden looked good against Clemson. How do we miss holding on to these keeper players? I mean, that's the list, right? It's not like it's no one's really thriving since they left here. You know, Jalen Woodby's doing okay at Boston College. I don't think DJ Matthews has become a superstar at Indiana. Warren Thompson is involved in some of the stuff that's going on in Arkansas, but he's not the straw that's stirring things. I don't know. How do we miss holding on to keeper players?
I would say, when you think about the portal coming and going to Florida State has overwhelmingly crushed it. Yeah. When you talk about who you've lost versus who you've gained. They have done a remarkable job because Aslan's right. I think when you look at everybody, and I don't count Kalen, who's now second in the country in rushing, right?
Oh, that's true. Well,
but I don't know that was like a, hey man, we don't want you here. I think there was some stuff off the field, and last year he was at Florida State but wasn't on the team, right? It was a whole crazy situation.
I think he re-enrolled to try to get back academically eligible, so I think he was still kind of enrolled in classes. But I know what you're saying, but also maybe find ways if you see a talent like that to keep them. But I guess you can't save everybody. So, but continue.
Correct. But Durden is the one. I think of everybody that's transferred out of here, from Warren Thompson, DJ Matthews, Quayshawn Fuller, on and on down the line.
Chubba Purdy.
Cyrus Fagan. Who?
Chubba Purdy.
Yeah. Cyrus Fagan. Parker Grotehouse, the Grote. all those guys that have transferred out compared to who's come in, Jermaine Johnson, Micah Pittman, Keir Thomas, Jamie Robinson. I mean, it's been Johnny Wilson. It's been a really, really good grocery list that's come in here. The one that you would love, the one that almost I think you would trade any of the other receivers not named Johnny Wilson for. Not because I don't love what Micah Pittman brings to this team and who he is, but Corey Durden is a difference maker, man, especially on this team. What he would mean for this Florida State team.
No, they beat Wake Forest if they have him, right? If Fabian's out, but you have Corey
It's hard
Durden
to say
still.
that 100% sure, but yeah, maybe. I mean, Micah Pittman did have 2 of those touchdowns, so maybe that's not the – you know what I mean? Like,
right.
But yeah, Corey Durden would be a big deal on this team. He's the only one that they've lost that has gone to another place and kind of played equally or better than what he did at Florida State. And I thought there were moments at Florida State when he was really good. 2020, he was not.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it just didn't mesh. He didn't get along with the coaching staff. He didn't work as hard as they wanted to and rehab to get back. I don't know any of that. I know he wasn't any good in 2020. And
Correct.
maybe because that season was such a horror show for a variety of reasons, he just wanted a fresh start. And he didn't believe in where the program was going, which is his right. Heck, man, NC State's been good, and he's been good there. But yeah, that's the only one, right? I don't know that you could tag Norvell with losing a bunch of great players. He's lost the one guy who's not even great, but he's a good defensive lineman, and he would be huge on this team.
Oddly enough, his best year PFF-wise was 19 at Florida State. He was 75 he graded out at. He's grading out at a 60 right now, so he's not even as good as he was last year, but I'm sure he's
not even Daniel Lyons.
I mean, we joke about that, but you say, like, he's grading out at 60.7. I mean, there's no starting defensive lineman that's lower than that. So,
all right. You talking about for Florida State?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, no, I don't know that he's as good as Lovett and Cooper when Cooper's healthy and when Lovett's healthy. But is that the case now? That rotation of those 3 guys would be a monster for teams to deal with. You know what I mean? Durden playing 30 snaps a game, but being ferocious the whole time he's in there, just would be enormous for this team. But whatever, he's not there. He's in Raleigh.
He is.
He's in Raleigh.
All right, let's go tempo up here. We got a lot
man.
and not a lot of time, but we'll figure something out. Gary Sensimilia, wake up. Alzon Corey, which of the next 2 games is more winnable? Which of the next 2 games would mean more to the team if you were to win one?
Clemson.
Absolutely. But is that more winnable? That would mean more.
I think it's more winnable too.
It's at home.
It's at home. And again, I think, is this Clemson team going to go undefeated? I mean, even the great Clemson teams would drop a game here or there. They'd lose an inexplicable game to Pitt. So it just feels like they would be ripe. Florida State, whether they win or lose this game on Saturday, will be, frothing at the mouth to win this game. Clemson's already, they kind of would have already wrapped up the ACC Atlantic, right? Like they could lose to Florida State. If Florida State loses this game on Saturday, Clemson will essentially have a 2-game lead in the Atlantic Division. Yeah. So they won't have, I know they're playing for a national championship, but they could still get in. And they won't have quite the hunger you wouldn't think that Florida State would. It's a night game. It's a rabid fan base, starving for a win. They're not that far off equally talented talent-wise. I just think they're ripe for that game. They're ripe to lose a game. And Florida State should be the team that gives it to them. But also what that would mean just for Norvell and for this fan base to finally be – like winning at NC State would be great. But then if you come back and lose at home to Clemson,
right?
It's going to lose some luster. But you lose at NC State and then you come and beat Clemson, man, the season still feels like a rousing success.
Yeah, man, Clemson's after that, they've got Syracuse at home, on the road at Notre Dame, which isn't a conference game, and then they host Louisville and they host Miami. So, yeah.
Oh, they got Miami. Miami's got to go to Death Valley this year, huh? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah, they got Mario. Welcome to the meat grinder. That is the ACC, Mario.
That's right.
JP_23, wake up. Special teams coverage returns have been a big strength. Why do you think the reason for such an improvement? They drill the hell out of it, man. Although I will say this. I don't remember the coverage being very bad previously. The returns were always poor, like under the previous regime.
No, last year the you're talking about with Willie?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, they would give up some returns here and there. Part of it was I just feel like that kicker was kicking it right down the middle of the field. The punter, I mean. I feel like they gave up some returns, but this team gives up, so far anyway, like every time they catch it, Brendan Gant's tackling them. Yeah. Every time. I thought last year the coverage units were fine, but nobody cared because the return unit was such a debacle. This year the return unit's been decent to good, and the coverage units are still elite. So it's working out, man. But yes, Aslan's right. They drill it all the time, and it's good that they're finally getting the fruits of their labor.
Busby for Heisman Aslan, if you could not speed read through my post, not ask Corey to ignore it, or just not snub it, I'd really appreciate it.
Oh, there you go.
I was at the Wake Forest
Start making
game.
demands.
Was that Wake looked as though Jordan was out of sync? Was that simply pressing or something else? Not suggesting anything, just curious for your thoughts. If our motto is climb, maybe we should frame this loss as taking a breather at base camp. You can't sprint from the base to the summit. And, buddy, we were at the bottom a year ago, or you'll get altitude sickness. Sadly, T-Bone, Tommy, his son, experienced his first FSU loss. We're now 6-1 when he's in attendance.
Oh, that's a dagger. Well, Tommy, you're done. Sorry, you can't go any more games. You're on a losing streak now.
Anything to him pressing? Do you think there's anything else there?
No, I just think he wasn't very sharp. I think maybe the time that for second drive when it was 7-0 and they got the ball back, and then Trayshawn fumbled. Micah made a great play to recover it, and then the very next play, Travis has his arm hit as he's throwing, and it's like deflected. The ball gets deflected as he's throwing it, and it's almost intercepted. Like it was almost like that kind of rattled him a little bit, like got him out of sorts. And I don't think he rattled. That's not the word I wanted to use, but got him out of sorts a little bit and made him realize, oh yeah, I might be getting hit some today. And it just felt like the next 3 or 4 drives he was out of sync, which happens. I mean, offenses, that happens to offenses. They get kind of out of sync and out of rhythm. Quarterbacks have bad days. And I just think like that throw to Toafili after the hold that got him down to the 4 was wiped out because of the Darius Washington hold. That next throw to Toafili down the sideline was like a perfect encapsulation of the day for Jordan. He was good. It's the right read. It's the right throw. It's a good throw, but it's not a great throw. And to get a window into that to get a ball into that tight a window, it has to be a great throw, and he was just a little bit off. He missed him by, 1.5 yards? He threw the ball 50 yards in the air, missed him by 1.5 yards, and instead of a touchdown, it's now 2nd and 20. And it just felt like that was the whole day. He wasn't great for him. He was good. He just wasn't great. And you hope that was I think for this team to win these next 2 games, your quarterback's going to need to be great.
Knoxnell 04. This one might be kind of long. It is, so I'm going to summarize it. He and his wife, Amy, own a martial arts school in Knoxville, and he's volunteering his services to come down to Florida State and teach the defensive linemen how to break off holds. You think it's an important thing? How come more teams don't do this? We'll relay word. I've heard about some guys in the offseason, like literally defensive linemen will do like martial arts classes to learn how to use their hands a little bit better. He also had a second question, so he gives us this whole big not Ben. I don't know. It sounds like.
I will say this: I'm all for them hiring a kicking coach. If they want to hire a martial arts coach too, I'm all for it. Just there's money for days, money to burn around here. Not that you'd be burning money by hiring a martial arts coach, because you got to learn how to disengage quickly with force, violently. Who better to teach that than our man in Knoxville?
So then he comes up with another question. I feel like Winston Wright's going to be this year's Hamsa. We never know when. We think every week's the week.
Good call.
That's a good call. I think he won't play at all until the final 4 games to secure the red shirt just in case he wants to use it so he can come back if he chooses. Never thought about that. That's a good point. I don't see this being his last season in college due to missing most of the time to create tape for scouts. What do you guys think? Also, somebody did ask us previously, if he does return, do you think he's involved in the kick return game?
Yeah, I think we got that same question last week. No, I think they like where they're at with Micah and Trey. As far as Micah being a willing physical blocker, if the ball's not – Micah's not even at the goal line anymore. He's at the 10, and Benson's at the goal line. That's who they know they're kicking to. No, I wouldn't think that Winston would be a part of the I am on a first-name basis with them. Would be part of the kick return unit. And, that's a good point. At this point, if he's not – 100% or 90%, maybe wait till he's 100% and then get him out there for 3 or 4 games. But you're right. If I would be stunned at this point if he's not back next season, because where is he going to go? Like he's going to leave early to go to the NFL where nobody has any film on him after a devastating car accident? Like, yeah, he could go work out and show that he can run at a pro day or a combine or something, but they're going to want to watch film and not film from 2021. They're going to want to watch film to see how he moves in a game. So, yeah, it's you hate it for the kid. He was going to be really good, I think. He would have been a huge part of this team. But maybe that's I hate to phrase it like this. I'm not trying to be callous. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise for this program if it gets him to come back for 2023, for sure.
Or it would have been better if it never would have happened and he would have been full go this entire year.
Correct.
My Truth, wake up. Went over to the Wolfpack channel. Seems that teams are slowing that offense by playing a too deep shell. Do we have the under personnel to be effective in this coverage?
It's a fair question.
I like our too deep shell. I like who we got safety. Now, underneath, linebacker-wise. Tatum,
linebacker and, are they going to – they don't play zone well, and that's where you can come back to criticizing coaching. They don't play zone well, period, really. They haven't since – they haven't, I don't know, man, forever it seems like around here.
Jeremy Pruitt was roaming the sidelines.
But, yeah, he also had some fun guys to play any kind of defense with. But, are you just going to stick Noles on Thayer Thomas and just say cover that kid all game? Are you going to try to bracket him at all? Because that's who they go to, man. That's their guy on every down, but it's specifically third down. And you guys remember him from 2 years ago where he just torched them. I don't think he did a ton against them last year. They used the other receivers last year. But yeah, man, that's the guy. They don't have a ton of weapons out wide, so that's the guy that they're going to throw to. That's his comfort. That's his security blanket. And just asking Noles or anyone, really, it's a tough matchup to cover someone in the slot. I hope they have a better plan than just either one of your linebackers, Deloach or somebody, is going to cover him in the slot, or Noles is just going to go with him everywhere. Because I like Noles. He's a fine player. That's an impossible ask. He's not Jalen Ramsey. And Thayer Thomas and Devin Leary have been doing this forever. They've repped it 1,000,000 times. And if you just try to man-to-man that kid all game on third down, they will eat you alive. So hopefully they have a game plan to stop that.
He only caught one pass for 4 yards last year, Thayer Thomas, against Florida.
How about that? Yeah. What about the year before?
I don't know. But do you know who the leading receiver was for Florida State last year against North Carolina State?
Parchment.
Close. He had 4 catches, but only 45 yards. Keyshawn Helton had 49 yards and a touchdown.
There you go, Keyshawn.
So,
good old Keyshawn.
Keep his name.
Wonder what he's up to now.
Thayer Thomas had 11 catches for 135 and 2 scores in the COVID year.
Yep. I remember them all.
Pensacola. Remember Pensacola, New Orleans, perfect marriage.
Yep.
Who of the Warchant staff, by the way, wake up, guys. Who of the Warchant crew is going to be in Raleigh? I have a wedding in Charlotte Friday. Figured I'd make the drive over to Raleigh to support the team. Never been. What are your suggested stops in town? This is all you, Corey. You're Mr.
I don't have any.
Triangle.
Every time I'm there, the fair is next to it. I guess if you got there early enough and the fair is going on, you could go there and eat some funnel cake and I guess win a pig. I don't know what happens at that fair. But other than that, no, man, I haven't spent a ton of time in Raleigh. I usually come up the day of the game or the night of the game. I might go to a local establishment, but I don't remember the names. I'm sorry.
Is there a district?
Sorry, I've been there a bunch. I just don't remember.
I feel like we drove through. Do they have like a? I know they've got a little bit of a metropolitan feel, but I feel like they have a kind of a smallish downtown area offshoot, like a quaint kind of.
I didn't get that vibe when I was there because I took Stephanie and Brady last year to the North Carolina game, and we went to Chapel Hill, we went to Durham, and then I think we stayed in Raleigh, and we went obviously to the NC State campus, and it didn't have necessarily the college feel like those other two did, especially Chapel Hill. Chapel Hill is a really cool college town. Yeah. It just didn't have that kind of feel where you just a walk aroundy type college area, bars and fun stuff to do. But again, I'm speaking completely without knowing anything about what I'm talking about.
I remember driving into town, and I think it was Raleigh in 2018 with Ira, and I remember like, wow, like there's lines to bars, and it looks like it's not college because it looked like Midtown in Tallahassee before the pandemic. Like there's like 30-somethings, working professionals. I was like, this looks pretty cool. But then we went to the DoubleTree and just worked because that's what you do when you go on the road with Irish Show Fell, everybody. You just work. You work.
Not with Corey Clark, is it? Corey Clark, you have some fun.
All right,
about having some fun.
Let's try to
You
power
only
through
live once, man.
Let's try to power through the rest. Knoll 23, wake up, longtime listener. Corey, you're the Warchant historian. Here we go. I attended FSU in the late 70s, early 80s. After every game, as the fans left the stadium, the entire crowd, at least on the student side, would sing "Go to Hell Gators." No matter win or lose, the entire departing crowd sang that song at the top of their lungs. When did that stop? I loved it.
Yeah, I don't know. It stopped around the same time FSU all the damn time stopped. 83, 84. I mean, the Warchant came over and just took away everything. Yeah. It was like Walmart rolling into a small community and just wiping away all the tradition. It's crazy what the Warchant did. Like, none of that stuff from my childhood is around anymore. But I do specifically remember that because I remember when I was 6 years old, because I'd heard it a bunch with my dad and his friends, that I remember being at the TV as a 6-year-old yelling, "Go to hell, Vikings, go to hell," because they were playing the Falcons. And my mom came in and said, "Corey, you cannot say that word." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then I started chanting, "Go to hell, Falcons." I didn't know hell was a bad word because I heard it so much my whole life with "Go to hell, Gators." So yeah, I don't know when it stopped. I assume the Warchant did it. The Warchant came in and took everything.
John Clark, Dad of the Year, every year.
Man, yeah. I when you go back and think about the way that we were raised back then, good grief, God, I'm lucky that I'm somewhat sane.
901, wake up. If you were on this team as a player, which coach would you want to be coached by the most? Unrelated, can either of you kick? Do you have any eligibility?
No, I can't kick.
Would you toe it up or would you soccer style?
I would toe it up. I'm not. I've tried the soccer style and I'm just not coordinated enough to do it.
That's one of the most deceptively weird sports movements.
Yeah,
Like kicking a football.
crazy.
I can do that. No, you can't.
No, it's hard, man. You've got to trust your right leg to thunder through at this weird angle as you're kind of rolling to your left. It's really kind of bizarre. And it's where your front foot is placed. No, so when I was in college, we had by our dorms, we had a field goal. We had a field with a field goal post. So we'd go out there at night and kick field goals, and because that's how cool we were. Trust me, there were ladies everywhere. They loved watching the 19-year-old kids kick field goals at midnight. But yeah, I could kick like a 30-yarder straight on some of the time, but that was it hurt my toe. I wasn't confident. I mean, I just looked like an idiot doing it. So I could kick. I used to be able to kick about a 30-yarder with straight on, but no, I don't have any eligibility left. And what was the first part?
Who do we want to be coached by? Give me Yak. David Johnson would be cool. I couldn't play for Odell or Alex. Just too much aggression.
Fuller.
Okay.
Like DBs, I guess, right? All right. I'd say Fuller. I mean, Fuller coaches the whole defense, but so he works with Woodson, I think, maybe more than he works with the other coaches on the defensive side. So I'd say I'd want to be a DB. So I'm coached by Woodson and Fuller.
Wake up, men. Love you both. This is Wow427. I listen every morning with a mug of delicious DeLuna coffee. Aslan and I were having a little spat, so I'm lighting the spear and asking a question that we all know the answer to. What happens when a receiver is blocking downfield on a pass play? Aslan responded to a post I made that questioned Norvell's play calling on 6 straight runs in that dreaded second-half drive. We'll see we're on the wrong page then. A second-half drive against Wake Forest. Aslan responded that all is well because the 2nd and 8 was an RPO that Jordan missed. Pittman was blocking his rear end off and Pokey was wide open. I contend that Pittman is savvy enough to know he can't be blocking if there's a chance the ball will go in the air. Pokey was open because he assigned defensive back red run to do Pittman's blocking, and the call was another run. Plain Jane counter. The spear is planted. Let's have a laugh, and thank you for all the hard work you put in for us. Go Noles, beat NC State, and roll Jordan so he has the choice to use his arm or legs often. Well, the dreaded second quarter drive is what you mean. That was the drive at the end of the first half where they kept running the ball, which they didn't want to give the ball back to Wake Forest with any time left on the clock. There was a 2nd and 8. And, yeah, I mean, that was an RPO. Just because Pittman was blocking, he wasn't blocking because it was a run. He was also blocking because on an RPO, if the pass is going to go out to Pokey, he needs to be the one that's going to be blocking downfield.
Well, you need to specify that if the pass is caught behind the line of scrimmage, you can be blocking. Like he's saying you can't – I thought he was saying you can't block on a pass. You can't be blocking a defensive back before the pass is thrown. But you can if it's a screen behind the line of scrimmage. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Right? And I think that's what his contention was, is how are you saying Pittman was blocking when there's no way he's blocking a defender when a pass hasn't been thrown yet. But you can do that when the pass is behind the line of scrimmage.
But the pass wasn't going to be behind the line of scrimmage, and he's not an illegal man downfield. I mean, that wasn't in play. But
well, then you really shouldn't be blocking anyone if there's a pass attempt coming. Oh. So maybe he's. Oh, I thought it was like a screen to Pokey is what you were talking about. Was the other option?
It wasn't going to be behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, it would have been a throw, not a throw like 8 yards out. It was going to be a throw like 3 yards down upfield, and then he would have been able to at least get 4 more yards after the catch because it was 1-on-1 and he had a good angle on the defensive
well, maybe it's
guy.
up to 5 yards. We should probably know the rules, but maybe it's up to 5 yards in front of the line of scrimmage you're allowed to block. But I know that you can't just be blocking dudes on a 9-yard pass before the ball is thrown.
Gator _ it's Gator Kirk.
So we didn't clear anything up.
Well, no, I mean, whatever. You're sorry, man. You're right. Love you. Thank you for the subscription. Who will be the 3 top playmakers in this week's game? We couldn't even find one Gator Kirk, but we did read your question, so thanks for posting. Appreciate you. I don't know. We combined everybody. Malik, Pokey, Akeem, Jamie Robinson.
Well, he
Patrick
said
Payton.
playmakers, not breakout.
Well,
so playmakers, I'll say Micah, Johnny, and Trayshawn Ward.
Marine Knoll, wake up. Born in Birmingham, moved to Stone Mountain, Georgia when I was 2. Famous people from my high school, Terrence Mathis, Kevin Butler, Chris Gardocki.
Oh, there you go. Redan, maybe. Redan, stand up.
Yeah, that's what he says. All right. My grandfather was childhood friends with Bobby, even double dated with Bobby and Ann. Funny story, my grandmother told me her and my grandfather would have to drop Bobby off down the street on their way to pick up Ann because Ann's mama didn't like Bobby much.
Yeah, we heard that story. Plus, Bobby was a little bit older.
After my grandfather passed in 87 and Bobby spoke very kind words at the funeral, I asked my dad if I could cheer for FSU. I've been a fan ever since. How long
what a great year to get involved with FSU.
Yeah, right. How long before we return to the years of being in the top 5 year after year after year after year? Great job, fellas. Keep up the great work.
Thank you. We appreciate that. I don't think that's ever going to happen again. Not because I don't believe Florida State can become a team of national relevance. They definitely can and should. But that run, just appreciate it for what it was. That's never going to happen again. Nobody, even Alabama, isn't going to go 14 straight years being top 5 in the country. It just wouldn't happen.
They have it. Yeah.
It's insanity that it happened. It's nuts. It's crazy that my baseball team went 14 straight years of winning a division title too. That just doesn't happen. And they coincided throughout the whole 90s, which was fun. Would have liked a few more titles, I'm not going to lie, but I'm not going to be picky. Better than being like a Marlins fan, right? But yeah, I think they can get back to national relevance, fairly quickly, man. I think when they change this playoff system to 12, it's going to change the whole complexion of this sport. And right now, Florida State would still be very much in contention with even maybe another loss for a playoff spot, which is crazy to think about. They're not even ranked, but it's also the early October. You would still technically be in consideration for a playoff spot. And I just think the fact that Florida State can recruit to that, look, man, we're very close to being a top 15 team. And if you're a top 15 team, you're right on the cusp of the playoffs. That's going to be alluring, along with a lot of money. So make them both happen.
Sunday Gold, who leads the team in receiving yards this week?
I'm going Pokey, man. I don't know why. I'm just feeling a big game from 80.
All right. Malik McClain. In the offseason,
you were all about Malik McClain.
In the offseason, many pundits were saying get to 8 wins. For me, after the last 5 years, I'm throwing a parade if FSU goes 8-4. Given the 4-1 start, do you think most fans will still be happy with 8-4? No.
If one of the wins is over Florida, Miami, or Clemson, absolutely. If those are your 3 losses, your 3 more losses, that would be, you still got to win at NC State, which is great. But then if you lose to Clemson, you lose at Miami, and then you lose the last game of the season to Florida, you can take the 30,000-foot view and be like, yeah, man, that's still a good season. But when you're on the ground floor right there and you lived it, and you're like, man, they lost the last game of the season. They lost at Miami. They lost to Clemson again. After a 4-0 start, I think there'll be some disappointment.
Yeah.
But if you're 8-4 and you beat one of those 3,
you got to beat
just
Florida,
one of those
then.
3.
You got to go out on a win because if you beat Clemson, but then you lose in Miami, you lose to Florida, then you realize you had a 4-1 start. You'll take it. You won't be happy. So
you'll be how about this? You would be happy in the middle of January. Looking back, you'd be like, you know what? We just got that great defensive end portal kid from wherever again. I like what Norvell's doing. You know what? 8-4 is a pretty good year. We had a good year. That was fun. You won't be happy the Friday night after Thanksgiving if you're walking off the field 8-4 having lost to Florida. You'll be very upset. Aslan's right.
Heard from a guy at a gas station, first-time poster, long-time listener, Baldwin, Kansas City. My fiance loves DeLuna. Sign up for $1. No famous people from Baldwin City. Corey,
I don't believe it.
All right, we got to go quick on this. We got some other stuff left. Corey, mid-season Brady sports update, please. Off-season training regimen, if we're done with those. Now that he's in high school, just talk about the kicking situation. Feels like it hasn't been covered.
There's been really no update with Brady. He's a part of a fall baseball team, sort of. He was not getting the grades that me and his mom were hoping for his first year of high school, his first 6 weeks of high school. So we did not allow him to play in some tournaments he was supposed to play in because of that. But he's rallied, so credit to him. He has rallied. He's gotten the grades back where they need to be. He's chasing AB honor roll now, we hope. And now he's a full part of the team again. So starting in a couple weeks, he'll be back hopefully doing sports things. And he does nothing when I'm not around as far as training. When I'm here, when he's in my house, we do some stuff. I tell him it doesn't matter if he never does anything on his own, but he never does anything on his own. So we are where we are. But at least he's a good-looking kid.
Aslan, 10 reps, leg press sled. What kind of weight are we talking? Or a dating app update. New Orleans story was incredible. Nothing on that level. There hasn't been any dating app updates. I'm out there, though. I'm trying, everybody. Nothing happened in Louisville. Just wasn't in town long enough to ping and get somebody on the line.
Right.
10 reps, leg press. I could probably do 495. And I did like four. No, I did 495 for like 8 reps the other day, but that was after I did box jumps. So, and I wasn't struggling. So I could probably do over 500, but I don't want to sound like a show off because that's really not that much on leg press. That's not squatting.
Right.
Thanks for the MyBookie call on UCF, Corey. That second half was blissful. Zaxby's is awesome. I've never been to Corner Pocket, but I do generally like places with football and libations.
There you go. Well, it's right up your alley then.
Grumpy BK quoted Chuck MacGyver Norris about bringing everybody back. How much money do we need? I should have bundled this, but I didn't make it down that far. I was supposed to scroll down and read these as Corey was answering questions, but I did not. Who do we realistically expect to return next year that has a legit shot at going pro? I don't know, man. Probably. Legit shot, Fabian Lovett, yes. But is his eligibility maxed?
I think he's just a junior. I think he's listed as a junior. Yeah. So does Tatum Bethune and Jamie Ross. All those guys are listed as juniors except for Robert Cooper.
Yeah. Let's see.
Does Micah have a legitimate shot? His brother's in the league. His dad was in the league forever. His brother's good. Yeah. But he's 5'10" and not blisteringly. That's not even
blisteringly.
Blisteringly fast. So I don't know that he's like a guy that would be a top. I'm quite confident, in fact, he would not be drafted in the first 2 days of that draft. Yeah. So he's somebody that definitely could come back. Winston Wright, we talked about him earlier. He's certainly somebody that could come back. Johnny Wilson, maybe. He might. Who knows? He's just a sophomore. He'll, technically, he still could come back next year and leave a year early. He could also come back next year and win like the Bolitnikoff or something, and then he's a huge name that could improve his draft stock. So I don't know. It's a hard one to say. Jordan Travis, maybe.
Yeah, he says I feel Lovett would be gone, but we can retain Verse, Robert Scott, Johnny, and Jordan.
Yeah, if Verse is really projected as a first-round pick, I don't know that he would, especially because he had an injury scare.
Yeah.
I don't know that you suffer a knee injury scare and you're projected to be even a second-round pick. Like, that's a life-changing money. I don't know that you come back.
He's going to kill it in workouts, man. He's going to.
Yeah.
It's tough.
And he's going to kill it with what he's putting on film.
Yeah.
He's better than we thought he was going to be. So, yeah, I would be surprised. At this point, I would be surprised if it would be a huge boost, though, if he did, clearly.
Jody High Roller, is there a week-to-week difference at practice with Norvell calling plays compared to Dillingham?
No, right?
Yeah.
As far as practice, like the way the practice looks and runs, no. Not that I can tell.
Yeah, just the quarterback looks better, and I don't know if that's because Dillingham. I'm not going to say it's because Dillingham is gone. The quarterback is performing at a much better rate at practice.
Hey,
looks different.
Shout out to Dilly too, man. He's got Oregon playing well. He's got the Knicks kid playing well.
Yeah, Bo Nix. Look at that. NC Knoll 43. I'm getting married tomorrow to a diehard Clemson fan, but she's hot.
Nice.
We're
Good work,
going to be in Tallahassee Saturday for the ball game against NC State. Most likely at the corner pocket before flying to the Caribbean for the first stop of the honeymoon. Last stop is under the lights of Doak to watch us take on Clemson. Aw, that's cool, man.
That's nice, man. Hey, congratulations. Even if she is a Clemson fan, well done.
All right, how important is it for morale and confidence to win against NC State before taking on a really good Clemson team?
I mean, you could say that every week, right? Like, it would be a huge win. It would be, I mean, you could argue maybe LSU would still rank higher just because of the way that stupid game ended. But you could argue if they go on the road and beat a top 14 team in the country at their place, that would be the biggest win of Norvell's career so far. So it should do a lot for morale if they can go win that game. And it would prove to them that Wake was kind of an anomaly. Like, you know what? We just didn't play well and we lost. It happens all the time in the NFL. It happens all the time in college. It was just a one-off. It was a bad game. But this is the team we are. We're a team that's strong, that can play together, win in a tough environment. We're tough. I think it would be huge for morale coming home to play Clemson. Because if you lose 2 in a row, all of a sudden there's doubt that creeps in, man. Okay, maybe we're not as good as we thought we were. We're a blocked extra point and Johnny Wilson freak show from being 2-4 or whatever they would be. You know what I mean? Like that kind of doubt can start to creep in.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but I think win or lose, man, they're going to play Clemson hard. Win or lose,
absolutely, I do too.
It's going to be a game comes out to the fourth.
I mean, they played Clemson hard last year in Clemson with like a whatever their record was, 3-5 at the time.
Yeah. Bravo, Victor. Love you guys. My beautiful wife and I had the pleasure of meeting you both briefly at CP last year before the Miami game. My question is this. It's really a comment. First 4 games, evening kickoffs. Wake, 3:30 in the afternoon. Other than the opening drive, the team looks off. Any chance the team just plays better later in the day? Let's hope. That's
let's
valid.
hope, man. It's weird because, they practice at the butt crack of dawn every day, but maybe their body clocks are better conditioned for some reason to play better late in the day. I don't know.
Dave from Bardstown's back. Just listening to the live show. Instead of a kicking coach, how about getting Urban Meyer to kick him in the thigh? Your thoughts, Corey? Read the post, Aslan. It's funny.
That's not bad. Like, Urban Meyer just stands there and Fitzgerald kicks him as hard as he can in the thigh?
No, I think the other way around. Urban would kick him.
I like my idea better.
Okay.
That's you're just working on leg strength at that point. Just like that scene. You remember that scene in Kickboxer?
Oh, yeah.
Where he walks in and the guy's kicking the post?
Yeah. He's kicking a tree.
How about Norvell just hears a weird noise, a grunt. He walks into more. He's walking down the hallways and more. He hears this weird grunt like, and then he turns the corner and he sees Fitzgerald just kicking Urban Meyer consistently in the thigh groin area.
Oh, you're talking about Tong Po. I thought you were talking about when he was practicing for the fight. Oh, yeah, Tong Po before he goes and kills his brother in that match. And the arena is down there like kicking a concrete.
Just kicking a post.
Yeah,
right?
That still gives – just thinking about that scene scares me right now, man. That, as a child, that haunted me.
Yeah, well, imagine that with Urban Meyer and Fitzgerald.
Hurricanes blow. Most important matchup in this game. He says interior defensive line FSU against NC State's run game.
Yep. I tend to agree with that. Yeah, we talked as much on the Warchant report about that. Like, if you can't stop the run, you got very little chance, man. You just – and you haven't done it, and it's all because of the personnel, really. I mean, your best player isn't playing in the interior. The other guys are either not all that great or they're banged up or both. And you're having a hard time stopping teams running up the middle. And if teams can just get 7 yards on runs up the middle against you, it opens up everything. If you can somehow stop that from happening and make them have to pass, you got yourself a chance.
2 more, and then I got to read a comment. D. Spence, over under 50 yards rushing for Jordan Travis. Banged up O-line. Okay.
I would love it to be over, but I think it's going to be – I'm just going by history. I'm going to say under.
Okay. S. Quinn, 67. Florida State, 36. 5 touchdowns, 3 2-point conversions. NC State, 27.
Nice.
I've lived in North Carolina for the last 12 years, been to NC State a few times, never had a problem. Obnoxious fans for sure, but nothing like Virginia Tech or Clemson. Won't even discuss Florida, Miami. Since the game is played next to the State Fair, what is each of your favorite fair food? I'm a funnel cake guy.
I'm a turkey leg guy.
Oh, all right.
I love just chomping down on a big old turkey. Like you can see it's so big, you can picture it on the turkey. Just getting ripped off. And I don't know, there's something about that just makes my mouth water, I guess.
You're a sadist. My gosh. I'm a funnel cake guy. I miss a good old funnel cake. Chicken on a stick is solid, too. Never had chicken on a stick until I was in Mississippi and went to the state fair. My girlfriend there was like, you got to get chicken on a stick, babe. It was awesome.
And it was good?
It was so good.
All right.
It's just chicken on a stick, though. It's amazing. All right, last one. Ruthless_gaze. I know most fans are down this week with the loss to Wake. I'm in Fort Myers, so obviously my perspective currently is a little bit different. I would not expect others to have the same. I wanted to share my experience watching the game last week. About 20 of us stopped doing cleanup, and by generator, we're able to watch the game. For a few hours, we felt normal. It felt like a Saturday in the fall. After the game, we were still smiling and all said how much we enjoyed watching the fight this team shows every week. About 30 minutes after the game ended, the power came back on in our neighborhood, and that was the loudest cheer of the night. Thanks for the show. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, man, that puts it all in perspective, right?
Yeah, amen.
Yep. Still, Greedy Vance has got to make that catch. That was just a joke, trying to lighten the mood, everyone. But yeah, man, that's awesome to hear. That's awesome to hear that. Like, even in a loss like this team, you're not just crushed watching them. You're not the Louisville game of 2 years ago when the safety gets up and does a finger wag after dropping an interception when they're losing by 30 points. You don't see that kind of stuff anymore. You don't see a lot of quit. That's why what was so alarming about that first drive of the second half. It's like, man, that looked like that defense just gave up, just didn't even want to be out there. And then that flipped real quick, and they became the Florida State that you've been accustomed to seeing the last 16 months or so. So, yeah, man, that's awesome to hear that you got your power back and you were able to have at least a sense of normalcy there for a few hours.
I still haven't gone back and watched the replay of I don't know. He was in such good position. I feel it's almost mean-spirited to criticize him. But
it's also crazy, too, like, even if, like, it's not like the catch was beyond the sticks.
Yeah.
It was a 3rd and 8, and he threw it 2 yard, like, he didn't throw it to the yard marker, I thought. It was in front of the yard marker. Like, the decision was bad. And Sam Hartman doesn't make bad decisions, and that was he just threw it, did not get sacked. And that's what you want a pass rush for, and it didn't work out.
All right. Corey's going to go to Raleigh. Ira's going to join him there. They're going to cover that game front to back like none other. So check out warchant.com probably about 45 minutes or so before kickoff if you want to know who's playing. The binoculars will be out. They'll spot everything for you. Also, pregame show, Warchant Game Day, presented by Zaxby, starts at 7 o'clock over on YouTube TV with Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang taking you up to kickoff. And then some combination of Jeff Cameron, Tom Lang, and myself will do the watch-along where we'll watch the game live and react live on YouTube. And then the post-game show with Tom and Gene Williams goes on about 10 to 15 minutes after the game. So we'll have you covered, hopefully a big dub. No matter what, though, we're playing a big game in October. It's pretty cool. Feels good.
Kind of neat.
Feels cool. Thanks so much for hanging in there for an hour and a half with us. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.